So now we're going to talk about HTML tables. An HTML table tag is used to display data in the form of a table, and you can add columns and rows. Okay, so the elements that you can use inside of the table element are the th element, the td element, and the tr element. Okay, so now let me go back into our page, and let's go over here and then type in make the table element. Okay, so the first thing we're going to want to do is write a header, right? Thead. So you also use a thead element. Okay, so inside of here we're going to write th, and that's going to be one table head element. Okay, so this is going to be, let's say, first name. Let's write a title at the top of this element that says h1, and then we're going to make it student list. Okay, so we're going to want to list some of the students. Okay, and then we're going to do last name, and then we're going to do actually that's enough. So now we're done with the head of the table. Okay, so we have the table element, and then inside of that table element we have the t head element, and then inside of that we have the th element. So the t head is the container for multiple headers inside the table, and then th stands for one header, and so on. Okay, so now we're going to write the actual content inside the table. So to do that, so just like with HTML you have a head and a body, right? So just like with the table you have a header and a body. So we're going to write t body, and close it, and then for this one, for the rows of the table, we're going to write tr. Okay, so this is going to be one element in the table, okay, one row. Okay, then inside of that we're going to write td for one element inside the table, for one element inside of the row. Okay, so first we wrote tr, so notice how it matches with the top. Okay, so first we have to write t head, over here we wrote t body, and then we have to write tr for one row that contains a first name and a last name, and then we're going to write td for each item in the table. Okay, so the first td will be for the first name. So let's say I write Ephraim, and then the second td, we're going to make a second one, will be for the last name. We're going to write Adunia. So it's going to match up with the columns and the rows. Okay, so now if I go back to our page and then I refresh, look, now we have, it's an organized set of rows and columns. Okay, so we can't really see the border now though, right? There's no separation between the items. So to do that, we have to go back into our style, into our table, and then we're going to make a style. We're going to write border, and then we're going to write the properties of the border. So I want it to be a solid border, and I want it to be 1 pixel in width, and I want the color to be black. Okay, so the first thing you have to write is the style of the border, and the second thing you have to write is the width of the border's line, and the third thing you have to write is the color of the border. Okay, so now I saved, and I'm going to go back and then refresh. So now you see there's a border only around the biggest part of the table. That's because we only gave a border to the entire table, not to the individual rows and columns. So now let's go inside let's copy this entire style actually, and then we're going to paste it into the table header. Now if we go back to the table header, you'll see that, or not the table header, every individual th tag. Now if you go back, you'll see that each one is now has a border around it, right? Let me zoom in so you guys can see. Now you can see that each one has a border around it. So now if we go back and then do the same thing for the tr, not the tr, for every td and for every td element, now we can see that there's actually separation, right? So if we write, let's write multiple students, let's make it multiple students, and they're all named Ephraim. Now we can see that there's a good separation, and you guys can see which item is which. Okay, so that was our tables. Now we're going to talk about lists. Okay, so for example, let's say you're writing you have a recipe page and you're writing a recipe for your website. Okay, so you can share it to other people. You can use HTML lists to specify, for example, the steps in your HTML page. Or if you have a contact page, you can, like our website, you can have, if you have multiple ways to get in contact with somebody, you can make a list for that. Okay? So, in order to do that, we're going to use the list element. Okay? So, in order to do that, we have to go back. Let's delete all of this. And now we're going to make, the first thing we're going to make is the list element. So, let me go back to the presentation actually. So, there are three kinds of lists. We're going to only talk about two of them today. So, there's an ordered list and there's an unordered list. So, an ordered list is, for example, when you're writing that recipe. Okay? When you want to make sure that people only use the steps that you're writing in a specific order. Okay? An unordered list is something that you use when you don't care what order the items are put in, and people are just supposed to use any item in the list. Okay? So let's go back. We're going to make our list. Okay? So first of all, we're going to make an unordered list. Okay? So we're going to write another, so you see we have the student list title right here. Now we're going to write the list of students in a list format. Okay? So we're going to write unordered list. For unordered list, we're going to write UL. Okay? And then inside of that, we're going to have list items. Okay? Items in the list. For each list item, we have to write LI. Okay? LI. So for the first student, it's going to be Ephraim Adunya. And then the same for every other student. Okay? So now I have multiple list item elements and one big unordered list. Okay? So when I go back, you'll see that the list is now a bullet point list. That's because we made it unordered. So when it's unordered, it's just going to be bullet points. With bullet points, does the order matter? No. So let's say we want to make this list ordered. Okay? Let's say we want to make it step by step, one through however many students there are. So to do that, we're not going to go inside the title and then just write 1 and then 2 and then so on and so on for every single item in the list. That's wrong. We're going to go inside the name of the list, and then we're going to write, instead of unordered, it's going to be ordered. So we're going to write OL instead of UL. Okay? So we're going to write OL, and then save, and then go back. So now when we refresh, you can see that now the list is in 1 through 6, right? 4. That was the list element. And if you guys have any questions, I'm going to stop the recording now.